Hello, welcome to Sparks 1524. Today is July 2nd, 2021. This is the 158th anniversary of the Battle of Gettysburg, which happened from July 1st to July 3rd in 1863. I'm Nathaniel Miller reporting to you from Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. The Battle of Gettysburg was not expected to happen. General Robert E. Lee, the Confederate general who was leading an invasion of the North in an attempt to both relieve pressure on Virginia and force the North to the negotiating table, did not want a general battle here at Gettysburg. He was actually trying to move toward Chambersburg and then possibly to Baltimore or Washington, D.C. However, Union forces under the recently named commander, Major General George Gordon Meade, had other ideas. Now, to make this more remarkable, especially to make the fact that Meade is the first Union general to ever defeat Robert E. Lee, it's even more remarkable when you think about the fact that Meade took command of the Union's Army of the Potomac only 3 days before this battle happened. The Southerners came in from the North came in from the South. They met just north of Gettysburg, and the Union forces were pushed back through the town on the first day of fighting, which was yesterday, July 1st. Today, July 2nd, 1863, the Union line had firmed up from Cemetery Hill down what was called Seminary Ridge to the Little and Big Round Tops, two hills that anchored the southern end of the Union line. The Confederate line had taken shape along Seminary Ridge. Now, as you might guess, Seminary Ridge had a seminary on it, and still does to this day. Cemetery Ridge was anchored by Cemetery Hill, hence its name. Fighting occurred along these lines all day, but one of the most famous battles in American history took place on Little Round Top, a heretofore obscure little hill, and it was one of those moments where several things went barely just right for the Union and barely just wrong for the Confederacy, but that barely was just enough to turn the tide until the final moment when an obscure colonel named Joshua Lawrence Chamberlain enacted what was actually a textbook maneuver, but not one that was terribly common or expected in that moment, and thereby turned the tide of battle. Late in the afternoon of July 2nd, 1863, the Confederates and Union forces were both realizing that Little Round Top, a hill long cleared of vegetation by local farmers, was a critical landform to both armies' battle plans. This cleared land made Little Round Top a more valuable place than the taller but heavily wooded Big Round Top. The combatants sprinted for the prize, with the Union winning by a bare whisker of good timing. After hours of fighting, both sides were largely out of ammunition and steam. The Confederates staged one final charge, confident they could break the exhausted Union line. Enter Colonel Joshua Lawrence Chamberlain and his 20th Maine Volunteer Regiment. Standing at the tip of the Union line, Chamberlain realized that his men were out of ammo, but gambled that the enemy was too. He ordered his men to fix bayonets and make a desperate charge down the hill into what turned out to be the final Confederate assault. This unexpected and very bold move smashed the Confederate forces, sweeping them back and permanently securing the Union's left or southern flank. It was a rare moment where the fate of the battle, and likely the nation, literally hinged on the fast thinking of a heretofore obscure colonel commanding a heretofore unknown regiment. However, that's not the only place that the Union line teetered on disaster that hot July day. As darkness fell, the action shifted to the northern end of the Union line, anchored by the heavily wooded and boulder-strewn Culp's Hill. The oldest Union general on the field, Brigadier General George Greene, was in command of this part of the battle. Greene had earlier insisted his men construct a series of defensive fortifications on Culp's Hill, and this proved to be the decisive action of the battle. As darkness fell, the Confederate forces attacked. Greene's men were severely outnumbered for hours since most Union troops had been sent south to handle Confederate attacks at the other end of the line. During horrific night fighting, Greene's men held off repeated Confederate attacks, securing not only the Union lines, but also the Baltimore Pike. The Baltimore Pike was the only major road the Union had to keep its supply lines moving, and losing it would have forced Union General George Meade to abandon the field altogether, handing the Confederates the victory they so long sought. Campfires were lighting up the landscape like stars even as the fighting on Culp's Hill went on. However, it would die down for just a few hours, but pick up again on July 3rd, 1863, tomorrow. The stage was set. The Confederates had battered the Union's south end or left flank all day. The Confederates had been battering the Union's right flank or north end actually since July 1st, but heavily the night of July 2nd. Tomorrow, July 3rd, would be the final showdown that would decide the fate of the Union and Confederate forces at the Battle of Gettysburg. General Lee had high hopes that his men could smash the Union lines, drive General Meade from the field, and bring victory to the Southern cause. Tomorrow it all came to a head. Thank you for your time. If you've enjoyed my video, please hit that little like button. Feel free to share it if you wish. If you want to read more about my adventures and a little more about Little Round Top and Culp's Hill, my column is linked below in the description. Until we meet again tomorrow on the field of battle, I hope you have a good night, and remember to always go and do great things.